Yes. Okay, so I'm back now in my capacity as PC Chair. Just going to say a bit about how things went this year with the Programme Committee experience. So I'll start by thanking all of the PC members, and you'll see, you should all have received your packs of cards. So here's the assignment. I need to stay close to the podium. So yeah, let's thank all of the PC members. And if you're in the audience, please stand up if you're a PC member or an associate chair. So actually, I particularly want to thank Matthew, who was the associate chair, which is a new thing for ICFP. And I think it's a really great idea. While I'm at it, I should actually thank Amal, who is somewhere in the audience, I believe, yes, who gave me loads of ideas about how to improve the running of the PC based on her experience from Popple and Oopsla last year. And one of them was associate chairs. It made my life so much easier. So basically, Matthew helped to manage about half of the papers that were being reviewed. Yeah, so here are the pictures of the PC. We should also thank the external reviewers, all of these people. We had a number of sub-reviewers. The tradition with Simplan conferences, and I continued this, is if you're on the PC, you must review every paper you're given. But if you have colleagues or students who can help with that process, then that's allowed, and that's what these people did. Right, so yeah, maybe let's thank these people as well. Now I'm going to say a bit about how many papers we got and so forth. Give you some numbers. We had 90 submissions, which is on the lower end of what I was expecting, but it's still reasonable. I don't know what the correlation between numbers and locations or the things is, but yeah, we got 90 submissions. 17 of them were PC papers, 73 non-PC papers. PC members were allowed to submit, but papers are held to a higher standard. Most of them were regular research papers, but we also had some experience reports and functional pearls. And 33 of them were accepted. With the transition to PACM PL, we always have 2 rounds of reviewing. So papers by default are accepted conditionally, and then there's another round where we check that all the conditions have been met. But 10 papers were unconditionally accepted and 23 conditional. This is the breakdown of PC and non-PC papers. I'll come back to that in a minute. And actually, yeah, if you just look at these numbers, you can see that if you want your paper accepted, then you should submit an experience report. Yeah, so there's the overall acceptance rate, 37%. PC papers, the acceptance rate's a bit higher, even though they were held to a higher standard, and I can assure you they were held to a higher standard, but PC papers on average are of a higher standard, so that's fair enough. Yeah, and there's the percentages for the the other things. We also had artifacts and an artifact evaluation committee, which was led by Janis Lindberg and Quentin Stevenaar. So can we thank them? And maybe, yeah, why don't people who are on the Artifact Evaluation Committee and in the audience and the chairs, please stand up. Okay. It's unfortunate that not so many of them were able to make it here. Maybe with the new funding mechanisms we could get more of those kind of people here. Yeah, so there's 3 different badges that we have for artifacts. Available says that it's in some repository, a long-term accessible repository, and then functional and reusable. So all of them got the awards, one of them was functional, and all of the rest were reusable. I always get confused by this because I'm a functional programmer, and I thought functional is better than reusable, but apparently it's the other way around. Yeah, so some other things to say about how the logistics of ICFP this year. We had the largest PC ever, which meant that the maximum reviewing load was 6 papers. I've had lots of feedback from the PC members saying that they appreciated that. It did make it harder work for me, but having Matthew there meant it was doable. We didn't have an in-person PC meeting. I think the days of in-person PC meetings are probably over. But most of the discussion actually happened in HotCrap. Having observed the process last year, I saw that worked pretty well, but then you have a few papers where the discussion doesn't quite converge or they're a bit controversial. So I just decided we'd have a Zoom meeting for just those difficult papers. We just had 7 papers left. And so that was quite short, and being under 2 hours meant we could actually have everyone attend from all over the world. I mean, okay, some people on the West Coast had to get up at 6 a.m., I think, and then people further east, it was very late for them, but at least it wasn't the middle of the night. I mentioned we had the higher standard. We also had a limit of 3 papers, 3 submissions per PC member. Lightweight double-blind. An important thing, message I got from Amal and tried to replicate was, if you want to get expert reviewers, you need to try really, really hard. So we did. And we aimed to get 1 expert reviewer and 1 Y, so knowledgeable person as well, because if it's just experts, then maybe you end up with papers that are only accessible to a few people in the community, and we want to encourage papers that people can read as well. We didn't completely succeed with that, but I think we did pretty well. Another aspect of this process that contributed to getting these expert reviewers is that every paper was assigned a so-called guardian reviewer who had to write their review in 3 weeks. And then if they saw any problems with getting a proper expert review, then we could revisit that. I also mentioned the 2-round thing already. Okay, so I'm going to give you some more demographic information. This is number of authors by country. You can see that USA is right at the top there. But we do have, we had 1 author from, well, 2 from Ethiopia and 1 from Botswana. So we actually had some submissions from Africa, which I think is unusual. And the Botswana author got a paper accepted. But yeah, obviously Europe and America kind of dominate here. I have some pie charts by continent. Disappointingly low number of South American contributions. It'd be nice if we could encourage more submissions from there in future. I guess that from there you see Europeans seem to have had a higher success rate. I don't know why that was. And the big drop there in Asia, I think that was a couple of papers that had lots of Chinese authors that were out of scope. That kind of skewed those numbers. Right. So I've distilled some of the numbers of papers based on topic. These topics probably look fairly ad hoc and complicated. This is just what seems to have built up over the years in HotCrap as the categorizations of topics. And they're mainly used to do the review assignment, which was actually, they were actually quite useful for that, even though it looks like it's a sort of very random collection. But I think looking at these is quite interesting. On both the submitted and accepted sides, you see that there's a lot of, well, formal semantics is top there. There's quite a lot of stuff about program verification, type theory. I don't know if this is a good thing, but there definitely seems to be very much a sort of theory bias in the topics that were most popular. Which is not to say that we didn't have plenty of practical papers as well. They're probably just further down that list. And you even see there's a mention of effects here. Although those papers, language design effects is on this side, but didn't make it over to that side. So again, there seems to be this message of, if you're doing some theory, then maybe, and I don't know if that's a bias in the PC, that seems more likely to get accepted. I've also, using that data, I've looked at the number of papers by programming language. And as you can see, Haskell is way ahead of everything else. Some of these other ones, Nick and I were looking through the categories at the beginning and saying, oh, we seem to have some sort of strange esoteric languages in here. Can we smuggle a couple of our own ones in? I mean, F* is probably less esoteric, but that wasn't in there. But it turned out there were actually several submissions there. And there was a Lynx submission, there was an Isabel submission. They didn't get accepted. But yes, it's certainly interesting that Haskell is very dominant. And that's about all I have to say. So I'd just like to thank everyone again.
Special thanks to Sam, being a PC Chair.